What's happening, forum? Today we have a mod that I'm extremely excited about and has to be one of my most anticipated devices of the year. Innokin has been in the vape game for a very long time, and they really made a name for themselves back in 2013 and 2014 with their famous iTaste MVP that took the industry by storm. And years later, here we are with the MVP5. The original MVP was actually one of my first devices, and if you ask anybody that's been vaping for a very long time, they've probably either owned one themselves or they have fond memories of using one. This thing was built super well, it had amazing battery life, it was super comfortable to use, and it even had a USB port on it so you could charge your phone. The original MVP was the cat's pajamas, but after 5 years, how have they changed and improved? Well, Innokin is innovative, so let's dive into this crazy mod that does it all. So before we go into the crazy features, let's quickly go over the specs of this device. This device measures 9.2 centimeters tall, 5.3 centimeters wide, and about 2.7 centimeters deep. It has a 5,200 mAh battery, which is just crazy. This one really surprised me. The charging current on this thing is 5 volts and 2 amps. And last but not least, the wattage output on this device is 6 to 120 watts. And of course it gives you things like temperature control, but I don't really use that stuff. So something I really like about this device is the fact that it actually has USB-C charging and also USB-A charging output? That's right, the Power Brick mod is back. So when it comes to features, boy howdy does this thing have a lot. Let's start at the top, literally. On top of this beast lies the biggest flashlight I've ever seen built into a vape. Before, the brightest I've ever seen on a vape was from the Osmotis Lustro, but because of the MVP5 having a proper flashlight housing, it completely blows the luster out of the park. Something I really like about how they did this flashlight is how they actually handled the adjustments on the screen itself. As soon as you click the flashlight button, it brings up the menu for it, allowing you to adjust the power and actually giving you options like strobe, SOS, and it actually gives you a timer to let you know how much longer you're able to run it for. Of course, if it has a timer for a freaking flashlight, you best believe this bad boy keeps the time for you as well. I can't say I've ever seen a flashlight with a countdown on it, and while I don't think that big flashlight is going to be taking inspirations from a vape, I sure hope that they do. And now to slide in another cool feature, they actually added support for their Ajax and Z series tanks. These two settings were made to get the optimal performance out of their sub-ohm and mouth-to-lung tanks, however they do still work pretty darn good with other brands. But heck, if you do put on that Innokin Slide tank or any other mouth-to-lung tank, you're going to be getting crazy battery life with this 5200 milliamp battery. Oh yeah, and another cool little feature, you can change the color of the ring around your wattage. It's a tiny little change, but it's cool that you can customize it. Innokin really went above and beyond and included a wide variety of sensors that you'd never expect to see in a vape. While they may not be super useful for everybody, they're unreal if you ever go camping, hiking, or do anything outdoorsy. When you go to the sensor menu, you're greeted to an accurate compass, thermometer, altimeter, and even a barometer. I generally find a compass to be useful. Whether I'm driving or walking in an area I don't know, it's always useful to have a compass on hand. The thermometer is a super cool feature to me. Even though I don't find it to be extremely accurate, it is a nice way to get a general reading without taking out your phone. The only problem for this is the fact that I'm from Winnipeg, so I don't even think it can read temperatures that are going this low. Why do I live here? And honestly, this altitude meter means literally nothing to me. It's super flat prairies, so that doesn't really change. But for Winnipeg, it does have another use, which I'll talk about in a moment. Now, the barometer is what confused me more than anything, as I had no clue what they even were. But after doing some research, turns out it's a lot cooler than I thought. When you actually combine this with the altimeter, and learn how to understand all of it, you'll be able to predict short-term weather forecasts no matter where you might be. Even though the altimeter on its own might not be useful for Winnipeggers, the combination of this with the barometer is super useful in this unpredictable city. The design of the MVP5 is tough and modern, and if it's anything like my old MVP2, then this thing can definitely take a beating. You'll also see the 3/4 of this device have these nice lines that go across the body of it, which adds some extra grip so it doesn't slip out of your hands. To really accent all those lines, they put in these nice triangular resin plates, which adds a little bit of uniqueness to every single device. It has sturdy rubber stoppers for every port on this device to prevent dust and debris, and I can actually imagine this would do very well for keeping water out, as these are thicker than most of the IP67 rated devices that I've seen. Now, while I'm not a huge fan of the fact that they made the top plate, bottom plate, and even the buttons all chromy, I kind of wish they did a satin finish instead. Either way, these buttons are still perfectly sized for easy use and navigation. And they don't have any battery rattle. And speaking on navigation, the fact that they actually included this little middle button between the two arrows makes everything just so much easier to use. Now when it comes to the design of the menu screens, they definitely aren't the prettiest thing in the world, but they still deliver the information clearly and effectively, which is all that truly matters. With a device that has this many features, I didn't think I'd easily be able to figure it all out after using this device for only a minute. It's a color and fairly high resolution display, so there's not much more I can really ask for. Now going to the bottom plates on the device, they have the flashlight on and off switch and power bank outputs, while the top plate has the 510, flashlight, and lanyard hole? Oh right, this is a super practical device, so they actually included the most practical lanyard you'll ever see. But why? Because if you take off the end, it actually reveals the hidden USB-C cable that they put inside. Now realistically, the only con that I can personally find is the fact that this is a built-in battery, which I'm just personally not a huge fan of. However, they did include 2 amp USB-C charging, so this thing is still going to charge really fast, and I don't think I'm going to have any issues with that. At the end of the day, this is a solid device that's going to be good for anyone to either upgrade to, start off with, or just have a really nice mod for everyday use. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching today's review, and of course, if you want to see more content like this, leave a comment and a like down below, and of course, don't forget to hit subscribe and check out our social media if you want to see more content from Flamingo. My name's Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.